Pseudo Legendaries are incredibly powerful Pokemon, with their 600 BST leading to usually incredible stats. Tyranitar was created over 25 years ago, and still finds a place in OU to this day. And Garchomp has been around for almost 20 years, finding itself banned at points, unbanned, and now safely OU. But not all Pseudo Legendaries are created equal. Take Goodra for instance, who's really never found itself a staple in OU play. But I have a whole video talking about why Goodra is the worst Pseudo Legendary, so today's video isn't about that. You see, my favorite Pseudo Legendary is Hydreigon, the Dark Dragon coming out in Generation 5, whose Draco Meteors, Dark Pulses, and Focus Blast or Sewer Power for Tyranitar was a force to be reckoned with back then. But immediately after, the Fairy type was introduced in Generation 6, and Hydreigon would find itself safely underused for every generation till now. And while in Generation 8 it did find some use in the early meta to deal with Spectrier as a special defensive wall, likewise with early Generation 9 where it would use substitute Nasty Plot sets, it's never had major success in the OU tier, until now, where a Choice Specs Hydreigon team made by Storm Zone was able to hit rank 1 in the OU tier. And not just rank 1, but an incredible GXC at that at 94.4. For those that don't know, GXC is a metric estimating your win probability versus any average player, indicating your overall consistency, which is why a GXC of 94.4 is extremely impressive. Hydreigon having Levitate means it didn't have to worry about spikes or even moves like Earth Power, which combine very well with Terra Steel, allowing it to wall Pokemon like Kyurem and Terra Blast Fairy Dragonite, as well as other prominent threats like Gliscor, Landorus, and Clodsire. On top of that, boosting its Flash Cannon's output versus Fairy types like Clefable and Hatterene. When you combine this with Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, and Earth Power, Choice Specs Hydreigon had perfect coverage for the team. The GXC and peak is extremely impressive, so let's go over the games. So let's get into these games. Big shout out to Storm Zone, these are all him, featuring the team. And Hydreigon looks pretty good here, right? Draco, Dark Pulse, only one thing that really stops it, which is Zamazenta, and it can't switch in on it. So let's jump in this. And also, if you guys do enjoy this content, feel free to subscribe to my Pokegame Plus channel, where we'll have additional content like this, as well as my Random Battles Road Top 10. We have stream highlights that are edited and a whole bunch of stuff on this channel, always going up. So big shout out to Joe as well for all the help with that. But let's jump into it. So we see Ogerpon lead into Tinglu, probably the best lead possible for this, so great lead. Goes right for Ivy Cudgel, and this is amazing because this already puts it in range of the star of the show. Choice Specs Hydreigon, because now look at their team and look at the move Draco Meteor. Yes, you got 2 Steel types, but they're not Pokemon that want to come in on this, so Hydreigon gets forced out immediately as rocks go up, and you can drop a Draco, and there, one of the 2 Dark Resist is absolutely gone. So first kill for the homie. Treads is going to come out with its air balloon, but this is a pretty free aloe here, as you're able to tank most hits and not really care. Goes for knockoff, which is a great play. Gets rid of the assault vest. Means Golden Go is going to be a little bit scarier, but to be honest, with Hydreigon's natural defenses, you're good into that. And I think they went for Flip Turn here, even though they have Ogerpon, because there's no real reason to predict that when you have one of the better switch-ins being Petulant, and you also have your own Ogerpon, which is Choice Span, that can outspeed and then knock it out with a Terra Ivy Cudgel. And I say outspeed because it gets speed boost. So free switch in. It's a great Tusk here. They are going to go for Rapid Spin. If they go Golden Go, that's honestly just a better thing for Ogerpon at the end of the day. They Rapid Spin into CC because he is running offensive CC, which is part of the reason that this RMT is so cool, because a lot of people are not running CC Tusk. Dragonite comes out. It is a giant threat. He goes for Rapid Spin just in case they want a DD as they go right for the Terra Blast, and it almost KOs, but they can easily switch into Petulant if they want to. But Storm's on the sides. I'm just going to take damage on this because this is an opportunity to completely blank this Pokemon with a Mon that also has great resistances into Iron Treads, right? Because with Levitate, Hydreigon doesn't care about Earthquake from Iron Treads. With Terra Steel, it doesn't care about Ice Spinner. So there's really nothing that could happen here. So brings out the Hydreigon, Terra Steals and goes right for Flash Cannon, just a safe play, and this is going to completely stop Dragonite from ever being a threat, even if Pokemon like Petulant got overwhelmed. And now Aloe can come in very, very safely and just repeatedly click Flip Turn. This can allow you to get in your Ogerpon if you want to, and just click Ivy Cudgel or U-Turn. I believe Choice Span U-Turn will be able to knock out Iron Treads from that percentage. So we're already in a great spot, and Hydreigon already did his job killing one, and then this forces in one Pokemon, right? This is exactly what you want, and you have the ultimate wall for this Pokemon, which the team is pretty weak to anyway. The opponent makes a great play, expecting Petulant to want to come in, but they're going to double out to Aloe. As it turns out, this could be potentially Scarf that did absolutely nothing, though, even without an Assault Vest. So that's actually very bulky to do 32. End up bringing out their Tinkaton here on the next Shadow Ball. That did nothing. by the way, to both. As they're going to go for another Shadow Ball. It does end up being that Choice Scarf set, though. So rocks are going to go up. And even though Tinkaton is going to go down, this is going to allow you to bring out your Hydreigon and just your natural type if he wants to. I think he actually makes the Aloe play just because he wants to pivot into Zamazenta later, which I think is very fair too, because you get a Mirror Coat off or a Flip Turn as well. The opponent ends up scouting for that Mirror Coat. Zamazenta looks like it ended up going for Roar here because there's no way an Alomola should ever be able to outspeed it. But Roar to the mount into Hydreigon. This is not a matchup where Hydreigon wants to stay in, though, so they are going to switch out. As long as Banana does predict the switch and doubles out into Golden Go to throw off Shadow Balls, because they know that if they get chipped, Zamazenta can potentially win. So they go for another Shadow Ball, but this is just always a 50-50 here because if Miracle happens, they're screwed. And also Flip Turn is just so safe because you always have Regenerator as well. They keep getting them, though, on the Miracle turn. The only thing that Zamazenta can really do is sub if he really wanted to, but it's Roar, so it's not going to be substitute on the set. So you get a free Flip Turn out into Petra Run. This is not going to be sub at all. It's going to be probably Heavy Slam plus a Body Press. Golden Go is going to come out. As Storm Zone is going to throw off a Shadow Ball, expecting the Golden One to come out, and there's no reason to let this guy take any chip if you want to, so they're going to end up doubling out into Aloe as they go out to Dragonite, and this is, again, very safe because you get a free Flip Turn out, and then you can go out to Hydreigon, right? This runs Earthquake plus Roost plus Terra Blast, so there's nothing that can touch Hydreigon because of that Levitate ability, completely blanking it, and you can go for an Earth Power here, or Flash Cannon if you want to. That does 53 to Za. Earth Power probably would have dealt with Dragonite as well if you want to predict. But decides, I'm just going to stay in, and not this turn, excuse me. You'll see in a bit. But it actually does matter when he does it. But we do see the trick, which means now they have basically stopped. Because, yes, they do have the recover here, but you can safely bring out Hydreigon once again and threaten them with an Earth Power. Now, Earth Power KOs every Mon. And the other thing about Hydreigon is because of its whole natural bulk, it actually lives a Body Press without a defense raise from Zamazenta. So this is a very free stay right here if they want to, as he does end up staying in, calling the Golden Go switch, but also knowing that Hydreigon is so bulky that's able to take that. So as you can see, they do catch the Golden Go upon switching, and then Zamazenta comes out, goes for Body Press, doesn't knock it out, again, because it doesn't have that defense raise, and there it is. So Hydreigon gets the first one. Hydreigon put in some crazy work early, right? Completely blanked Dragonite, stopped Golden Go, and when they tricked, they had no speed control. It blanked Iron Treads, and it would even just showing off its bulk. So that's the cool Terra Steel version. I also think one thing to remember is that Hydreigon does not have to Terra to be useful. Right here, like if you want to Terra to get the extra oomph into a Pokemon like Clefable, sure, but you don't have to Terra to be useful. The opponent does respect Ogerpon and goes right out to Petra Run here on the IV Cudgel, as obviously they're going to be forced to switch out. Brings out the Tinkaton. Tinkaton stops Malignant Chain, doesn't care about Parting Shot, and can just get up rocks as well, as Tinglu is going to come right out after. And this is, again, good because you get the Encore as well, which is a nice play from the opponent, just not giving them any advantage. But this is still decent because if you really want to, you can stay in and go for just chip. And the reason that he's going for the chip, one, it is a red card, but two, which would open up Hydreigon if it's weakened, right? Because you can Draco later on and you don't have to worry about that. Same thing with Ivy Cudgels from Ogerpon being able to pick up the KO. But two, there's not really much they could do besides Ruination that turn. So going for Gigaton Hammer was nice. Ends up bringing blanking the red card, and then they go for Malignant Chain here. Now the reason they go for Malignant Chain is because the only Mon you need Petra Run for, or the only two Mons you need Petra Run for, are Dragonite and Clefable, and both of them get blanked by Terra Steel Hydreigon. So I agree with this play because Earthquake doesn't even kill you, and if you get a Poison on Tinglu, you're getting rid of one of the many resists. So Dark Raid's gonna come out here as Storm Zone ends up going for that recover. And obviously, we do have the AV Alomola, not to worry too much. If this is like one of the Dark Rides that's running knockoff right now, it would be obviously great here, but ends up doubling out Tinkaton just in case it goes for a knockoff. Exactly, great play. Because this also allows you to pickpocket the heavy duty boots from Darkrai. And while they can knock off again, you can now get Rocks Chip. So this is a beautiful play. Goes for Gigaton Hammer. And he's going to reveal his cool tech on the team, which is Ice Hammer. And this Gigaton Hammer and Ice Hammer with the Air Balloon also allows him to beat up Gliscor. So that's why it's a really cool mode on the team. I use this team as well when it had low kicks. He actually posted it in the RMT. I'll link the RMT down below. But gets up Rocks as well. You basically did your job right there as they are going to switch out into Alomola here. Clef could still be knockoff, but ends up not really caring too much because he's going to end up going for Flip Turn anyway. At this point, you know it's not Specs Darkrai, so you always know you can Terra Ogerpon to be faster and then knock it out in one hit. Like, even Ogerpon's looking very scary. Tinkaton's going to come out, and it can always Encore. It doesn't matter if the opponent predicts this. They actually go for Gigaton Hammer because this is a good play because if Clefable doesn't end up terrestrializing, it's taking a lot from this, man. But this is where you bring out Hydreigon on the recover, and they're going to throw off a nice Choice Specs Flash Cannon. Beautiful. And now and now your Dracos are going to go stupid because Clefable goes absolutely down. It goes down there, so you get some beautiful damage. Darkrai's going to come out. Focus Blast could obviously be a bit threatening, so you're going to switch out into Tinkaton here as they end up going for Dark Pulse. This set also doesn't always run Focus Blast. Sometimes it just runs Ice Beam, Sludge Bomb. So it doesn't have to be Focus Blast. But that's a good scout regardless, because you already got what you wanted out of this. Because now you can go Ogerpon. And honestly, you do not need Terra anymore on Hydreigon, right? Like, why? It doesn't help you out into Focus Blast potentially from Darkrai. It does help you with Ice Beam, but you'll live anyway because you're a natural Hydreigon. You have some good stats. And now you can just go right out to Ogerpon, potentially Terra if you want to, and U-turn out, which is relatively safe because you could always go Alamole if you want to, or you can go for the Ivy Cudgel. But because your choice band, U-turn is really safe, and this allows Hydreigon to come out, and now you can drop a Draco because it doesn't matter what Petrarun Terrasilize into. If Terrasilize into a Fairy type, then Ogerpon and opposing Petrarun's going to have a good time. If they go out to Ting Lu, you can just Draco Meteor, drop it, and basically pick up a KO. So he's just really showing how the team functions around Choice Specs Hydreigon and how this mon is, it's so cool because, again, this is my favorite Pseudo Legendary, right? And I used it a lot in Generation 5, and now technically, it's not even OU in Generation 5. It's OU by technicality, which means that people that are playing the ladder and in tournaments are not using it as much. So if there were tier changes in Generation 5, it would fall down to UU, but it's not. And it's RUBL in the current gen, which is crazy. But yeah, it's cool to see that ended up making it to the top. I accidentally clicked Plot Recording, but ends up being Nasty Plot, Petrarun. Hydreigon's going to come out. This could be Fairy, but goes right for Earth Power. Doesn't matter. Doesn't just go. This is good neutral if it's Fairy as well, because if it is Fairy, then you just go out into Ogerpon after a Revenge Kill. So you get a lot of damage off with that. So Earth Power picks up that KO. Beautiful. As Darkrai is going to come out. And again, Darkrai could have the Ice Beam. Actually, I forgot. It was his second round of Stealth Rock. So Ice Beam does KO it. But you can bring out Ogerpon. And honestly, U-turn's very safe, because even if they end up Terrassilizing, you just go Aloe, and then your Headlong Rusher will win the game anyway. Ivy Cudgel is also really good too, because this is how good Choice Band Ivy Cudgel is, man. Darkrai might have died even if it Terrassilized. I'm not like, this is Terra Grass Choice Band. So beautiful, basically using Hydreigon to break the mons that might be able to deal Ogerpon, and then it goes down. We got another one. This time it's versus like a Sticky Web offense of sorts. Hydreigon goes crazy in this game too. It's like you have Sticky Web, right? But there's two Pokemon faster than Hydreigon in this game with Sticky Web because of its Levitate ability. And that's Manaphy and an Enamorus. And you can Terra Steel and smoke an Enamorus. And Manaphy can't KO you if you go for Terra Steel on the Ice Beam and then Draco, or the Alluring Voice and Draco. You're naturally faster than these three. And you also resist Sarah Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch from King Gambit. So this is one of the matchups that kind of just shows off its natural resistances, how good it still is in this tier. So you get up rocks there as they go for Icy Wind. Spores banned, so you can't do... Icy Wind's a cool tech. I like that. Slowing something down, like Great Tusk or anything too. You get up the Sticky Web there as they go right for the Gigaton Hammer, just to break the sash. I think being in with Tinkaton makes a lot of sense, because you can Encore anything, right? You have... Well, you don't have Moldbreaker, but you can Encore anything. They miss right there, unfortunately. Do we see an Endeavor? Low-key, I would go for... I doubt it's Endeavor. I doubt it's Endeavor. It goes for Mirror Coat, though. Predicting that, and then goes... Doesn't actually Aqua Jet here, revealing it, because it knows it'd be cool later to pick off Sarah. So I actually like this play by Storm Zone. Worst case, Endeavor would be fine, too. So, you get in the homie. Look at this. Bro's choice, man. Bro's fast, you can't kill. Gets the boost. Is able to bring out Great Tusk. It's on a balloon. And what can you even do here, right? If you Terra this guy, it doesn't matter. You actually can't Terra this guy. So, brings out... Go for Headlong Rush. Right into... Wild name. Right into the Enamorus. And again, you have the Spadef guy. So even if this is Life Orb or Specs, yeah, it's usually Life Orb with like Draining Kiss or anything like that. Healing Wish is back into King Gambit, which is cool on the flip turn, because you know that the more Mons die, actually stores it up. But it's going to be later for King Gambit, but they're storing up the Healing Wish, so they can bring out Manaphy now and go for Tail Glow. But unfortunately for them, Ogerpon does exist, and Ogerpon can get a little speed boost right here. But they have the Mirror Herb, which I think is so cool, but it doesn't matter because Ogerpon fixes itself there, and they end up sacking Manaphy here. But King Gambit's going to come back, get its Healing Wish, and it can still be very scary despite everything happening. So they can go for Swords Dance here. They do go for the Kowtow, though, which doesn't actually KO Ogerpon, but they realize this mon is a threat. I need to weaken everything so I can win the game with Sarah Ledge's Shadow Sneak. So this makes sense. Whereas Storm Zone basically got what he wanted out of the turn, because now he can bring out Great Tusk if he wants to and go right for the Headlong Rush as the opponent brings out Air Balloon. Golden Go. It's not Air Balloon, though. It's not Shuka. It is Shuka. Okay. Brings out the Golden Go. So at this point, they're going to go down here. And Sarah Ledge is going to come out. All Sarah Ledges are Terra Ghosts. He says, I'm not playing your game. I'm not giving you a potential speed boost because you're bulky. I'm going right out to Choice Specs Hydreigon because I can finish off this game. There's no fear of you being faster. Shadow Sneak isn't going to do crap. I live Shadow Sneak into Sucker Punch, and it's going to be able to pick up the KO from there. So again, using its natural resistances, I think the rest of the matchup was just really good for Storm Zone. I think he played it fantastically as well. But just seeing that was really nice in general. Like, just, I love the natural resistances. So Volcanion lead. You're going to most likely go out to Alomola here on the U-turn as they end up bringing out Petron. But this is good because now you can bring out Hydreigon, right? Look at their fairy type. It's Iron Val. You don't bring in Iron Val initially, right? And they have Iron Tread. So I think they're just going to go right for Earth Power here. I would go right for Earth Power here. I feel like it's free. Yeah, exactly. Specs Earth Power into what looks to be a really sped up Iron Treads. So you know you're going to be fast with Hydreigon, so you can go for another Earth Power there. Yep. As Dragonite comes right out, and you can just bring out Petron on this. You blank it completely. Great double into Volcanion, though, because you want to get some damage. That way you can try and win the game with a Pokemon like SD Iron Val or a Dragonite. But you can bring out Aloe pretty safely. Go right for Miracle here. And just switch it out to Tinkaton. Doesn't want to risk the potential poison because that would make Volcanion a little bit scarier later, since you can't do that. Javi makes a great play, though, and just parting shots right out into Iron Tread. So just trying to go for rocks, which I think is a fine play. But they can bring right out their Great Tusk on that. Goes for Rapid Spin just in case Tinkaton ends up going for rocks, which I think is a good play, too. And right now, what? Do you sack this and go for rocks? No, you end up going Petron, but it's Headlong Rush, offensive Great Tusk. So Petron only can Terrasilize to deal with this. Otherwise, and if it gives us a Terra, then you can't Terra Dragonite, and look how strong Hydreigon looks. So it goes right for Ice Spinner there. As Dragonite is going to go for Dragon Tail. It ends up being a more bulky variant. As Aloe gets boosted out, which isn't too bad, right? Because you can flip turn now, and then you can bring out the Demon. Well, you have a few options here, right? Tinkaton is cool because you can get up rocks. But you can also go Hydreigon and just be a little bit more aggressive. And if they want to Terra this defensive Mon, nah, doesn't matter at that point, right? This guy's Draco twice and everything. Val comes out. So this is the opportunity that they were looking for with Val because it's Swords Dance Val, I believe, with Terra Dark. Yep. Usually Swords Dance are Terra Dark. That way they can actually do a massive damage to Pokemon like Petron as well as Golden Go. We do see a Terra Ghost here, though. Definitely did not expect, I think, that much damage, or just wanted to get a strong Shadow Ball off just in case. But doesn't work out. That Terra doesn't work out on both sides. However, it's only +2, so Aloe can need a hit, and Aloe can go right for Scald right here. And this is where Storm Zone reveals, or Playoff, excuse me. This is where Storm Zone reveals his other tech, which is the Aqua Jet, I believe, right? But I don't think he's confident that I can KO from there. Miracle, Flip Turn, Play Rough. It has to be Aqua Jet. So I guess he's not confident that it KO'd from there. Did it really not do 14? I feel like Aloe has good attack. Maybe it only did maybe it was a roll from 13 to 17. But either way, you get rid of the giant threats. Terras are gone, which means the Earth powers can go flying. But he decides to go right for Ivy Cudgel. I think I would have went for Earth Power there because I'm pretty sure this is extremely bulky. Goes for Knockoff, which is fine too. I guess there was no switches to that. So Petron comes out, which will, unless it's Cobra, will definitely die. That is Choice Band. That is Choice Band. I guess they were scouting for it not being Choice Band. Deoxys comes out. You literally just stay in and keep clicking this forever. Right? There's no reason not to. Ends up being Life Orb Dio to be able to knock it out from that point. Yep. Only way you could. But now you know Hydreigon lives every hit. And there are absolutely no Dark Pulse switch-ins, fam. This is a Specs Dark Pulse. So Hydreigon just cleans in. And, I mean, you could have Focus Blast on Deoxys. That's basically it. I don't think Life Orb Ice Beam is ever going to pick up a KO. Focus Blast does manage to connect. But now you're still dealing with a Tinkaton here. And Tinkaton just has to click Gigaton Hammer. It is offensive. And it can basically pick up the KO. So goes right for that Gigaton Hammer. Again, it is a very, very offensive Tinkaton. It's like max attack on this. So that crit did not matter. And then Storm Zone gets it. So last Mon right here. Really cool Hydreigon team, right? Because it has a speed tier above everything besides Enamorous and threatens things with Dark Pulse with Flash Cannon. All right, last replay to see Hydreigon putting in some work. Sarah Ledge lead. Are you Sash on this team with very little hatching control? Well, GOAT lead of all time, but you can go naturally into Hydreigon, which is going to take a lot. Don't get it wrong. It's going to take a lot. It's Life Orb. But it's still going to do a ton of damage back with Dark Pulse as well. It's like this is a resist, and it took 47, which means with Rocks up, it was 2-shot. Ends up being Scarf Samurott. Dodges the Ceaseless Edge and does a lot there. which obviously matters because now Hydreigon is actually able to switch out. And this switch does matter because it means that they don't have to worry too much about, and great job denying spikes, but they don't have to worry about Scarlet because they're always out of range of +2. Goes right back out to Hydreigon though. Doesn't even care. Dodges a Poltergeist. So this is a little bit of a lucky game for Hydreigon here, especially because there's just no switch-ins here as they go right for Dark Pulse. When you don't have to predict because your Dark Pulse is almost two-shotting every fairy type, crazy stuff. So Al is going to come out. I see no flip turn stop there, man. Absolutely no flip turn stop there. So you put it in range now, Dark Pulse. Can't come in later. And you can get in Tinkaton now and get up your rocks if you want to, which will help, obviously, into Scarlet. They end up going right for the Moonblast there just because it's going to help out the Great Tusk, be able to hit it with Hello Rush or Earthquake later. And Great Tusk is going to come out. I'm assuming we're going to see a Gigaton Hammer come out. It ends up being that boots Great Tusk, which is great because you know it's not a Solvus or anything. So basically, you can smoke this Mon with Hydreigon if you really want to. On top of that, it's lowered its defenses and it's taking Rocky Helmet. So you're basically forced to take double Rocky Helmet. So now you can go out to Hydreigon again, which is faster, and just click Dark Pulse if you want to. But my homie said, I don't want to use the feature Mon. I want to go for this. And I would have Dark Pulse. That's a cool thing. No switching to it. But I think the thought process was he doesn't want... There's actually no switching. He just doesn't want Enamor's getting a free Healing Wish, I think. Either way, Scarlet comes out, goes for SD, which is a goated play here. A Hail Mary that could have won the game if he didn't have... He thought of everything. If he didn't have Aqua Jet. This is just a Glazing's Soul Gazer. But I like Hydreigon a lot. This is more a Glazing Hydreigon. Soul Gazer is great, though. I said Soul Gazer well. Soul Gazer is great. He's a good friend, but Storm Zone is who I definitely meant. Anyway, beautiful pivot out into this. This deals with even the scariest thing that Bronzong can go for, which is the Iron Defense. And what you can do now is you can threaten it with Hydreigon. Because Hydreigon comes out and it gets to throw off a strong Specs Dark Pulse here. And the opponent knows what's coming and said, nah. And this was actually the peak that he hit with 2037 with this game. So I think this was a great, just showcase overall of what Hydreigon can do. I hope y'all enjoyed it. As much as I did. It was really fun narrating this, but leave a like, feel free to subscribe to both my PokeMD and this channel, which is PokeM Plus, and big shout out to Joe as well, and big shout out to Storm Zone as well for it. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.